The past 15 years have seen Tyler the Creator go from alternative and controversial figure on the fringes of hip-hop into one of the biggest and most consistent names in the industry today, achieving mainstream success that I'm not sure even his biggest Odd Future fans would have ever predicted back in 2009, largely in part due to an incredibly impressive run of projects in recent years with Flower Boy, Igor, and Call Me If You Get Lost. Today though, we're here to find out if Tyler's latest creation is able to keep this streak going as we go through and rate every single song on here. And before we get started, I'm just going to quickly say, I'm by no means a day one diehard Tyler the Creator fan, nor do I know much about the guy personally.
Okay.
But I do really respect the creative effort and passion he brings to the table with each one of his projects, and these takes are just my personal opinion on how I felt when listening to the songs a few times. With that out of the way, let's get started with the first track on here, Saint Chroma. I really liked the energy Tyler came through with on this intro. I feel like it set the stage and provided the grandeur of what's next to come in an exciting way. Daniel Caesar's melody sounded very nice. One random thing I thought of when I heard that part was how much this reminded me of Dark Fantasy by Kanye West, which is one of the best album openers ever in my opinion, and also features that really similar high-pitched hook before having the beat drop into something much more sinister. Tyler himself mentioned that this is the first album he's made in which every word is true, which is probably a good statement for his new fans to hear given the crazy shit he used to say. But anyway, he brings some of this introspectiveness right away in the intro as he struggles with the idea of continuing to make music or bowing out after already having reached the top, which I found interesting to hear. I'm going to give this track a 7.5, which is a pretty good rating for me, by the way. That's a solid start, but it's nothing more than that.
Never tell them niggas or those women till you breed ass.
I'm going to stick with the theme of comparing these tracks with other songs for a second, as Rah Tah Tah, sorry, it's funny to say. Rah Tah Tah fits right alongside other previous aggressive Tyler the Creator bangers, such as Domo 23, Tamale, and especially Who That Boy. I felt like there was so many similar things here going on compared with that one. And let me just say, I love all of those songs, so I swear I'm not complaining about the aggressive sound, but at the same time, I guess I kinda am, because this one just felt jarring to me and not nearly as hard as any of those aforementioned bangers. It's not bad, I guess, there's nothing really wrong, I just don't really love his flow here that much, and the production here is not enough for me to get truly excited about it. I'm gonna give this one a 6. Luckily, things very swiftly picked up for me with the next track, Noid, which had a lot of effort go into its production. To be honest, it borrows a lot of elements we can pretty much come to expect from Tyler at this point, which is true for the whole album actually, like the blaring sounds, high-pitched harmonies, trumpets and pianos, some random person speaking in the middle. If you had a Tyler the Creator bingo card, I promise all the boxes are getting checked off today. And that's not necessarily me throwing shade, I've seen some talk online saying Tyler's getting away with making the same song over and over again, and I think that's just a lousy take. It's pretty clear that there's a substantial creative effort that went into this project, and it's by no means lazy or uninspired. Even if it does use quirks he's done before, I think it's executed very well, and personally, I'm not really tired of his sound yet, so yeah, I don't mind. Anyway, back to Noid, I strongly like this song. It takes a bit of time to really get going, and I was kind of whatever about the guitar groove in the beginning, but by the time we get to the last verse, Tyler's really rapping his ass off, and everything just comes together into a really well-crafted and signature Tyler the Creator sound that I thoroughly enjoyed. That left shooter, right shooter part in particular, just gets my head bumping, I don't know what to say. Noid gets a strong 9 from me. Darling I pretty clearly sits in that Call Me If You Get Lost space, with both the production and the melody sounding like they came straight off of the album. And I don't really have a problem with that because it still sounds just as pretty and smooth as it did on that project. We get a couple more vulnerable lines from Tyler as well about him being alone with his Grammys, which is a bit sad actually given that it's been 7 years since he made a whole song about being lonely and it seems like nothing's changed. I am hoping he finds the love he's looking for. Anyway, the song is just super pleasant and easy to enjoy. If you need to listen to Tyler the Creator while your grandma's in the car, this is the song to pick for sure. And I mean that as a compliment. I might have bumped this one even higher than I have it here, but the only thing holding me back is that I think it's a bit too long for what it is. In my opinion, 3 minutes probably would have been the perfect sweet spot for this song, but that's not enough for me to knock off too many points. It still gets an 8 from me.
Hey Jane, we got the news and I didn't know what to do. I didn't panic, I was comforting you.
Next up, we have a very thoughtful track in Hey Jane, which goes through a woman and Tyler's conversation discussing their options after finding out she's pregnant. The song even gets its name from an abortion clinic, which is interesting. To me, the whole story was done in a really nice way actually, that feels really genuine and raw without being too overbearing. I think Tyler did really well in balancing the storytelling aspect while also keeping the song really smooth and enjoyable to listen. It's honestly some of the best writing I've seen from him. It really feels like you're a fly on the wall experiencing a very real conversation going on, and I found that impressive. Surprisingly though, I also just think the song is super chill vibes, which is a bit weird to say given it's obviously about the decision of whether to keep a baby or not, but it's not my fault he also gave it such a smooth beat and flow. It is what it is. I've already decided it's a chill and laid back song for me, especially when you're just sort of listening to the album in the background. It just hits. The combination of a thoughtful, personal personal story from Tyler, along with the chill vibes it brought me, makes Hey Jane a 7.5 for me.
Bitch, I killed you, taking you out. It's not a game full of shame.
Tyler definitely knew what he was doing titling this one I Killed You right after the song about abortion, even though the song is not actually about that. To steal from Genius, it's centered around the complex relationship black people have with their hair. And you know, respect to Tyler for talking about that in his music. He's not the first person to do so, and he probably won't be the last either. Just as a song though, it's a bit tough to rate for me because I feel so differently about both halves of the song, as they offer completely different vibes. To put it simply, I think the first half kind of sucked while I thought the second half was really great. For me, the moment that girl stops saying round and round and the beat switches, it's a really nice breath of fresh air. I feel like I'm a dandelion swaying in the wind while I'm listening to it. Putting the whole thing together though, I have to give it a 6. Here, Tyler describes his encounters with a girl with just a bit too much detail for my liking, before he reveals in the final verse that she's seemingly passed away from a terminal illness. And it is a pretty gut-wrenching reveal once you realize what he's saying. Similar to what he did in Hey Jane, this seems to be Tyler really airing out some of the shit he's been through, and I'm sure his fans will really appreciate the rawness and honesty he brings to the table with this album. As a song though, let me just say Tyler's singing voice can be somewhat of a hit or miss for me. I like when he does the super high-pitched stuff, but his regular singing voice doesn't always do it for me, which makes it pretty hard for me to get into this one because that's kind of the whole track. I will say I did really enjoy the synth-heavy production in the last minute. I just love when it feels like a song is trying to take me to outer space, but even that got ruined by these stupid moaning ad-libs sprinkled throughout the end. I really want to know what possesses artists to do this in the studio. I've never listened to a song and been like, that was pretty good, but it could have used some more moaning in the background. Like, no, just stop doing this shit. Anyway, I'm giving this track a 6 because I do appreciate him sharing a vulnerable story, though the song is really not my favorite. Sticky is an absolute banger from start to finish. I think everyone pretty quickly concluded that if there's going to be a hit from this album, it's going to be this one. It's catchy, infectious, and has some super fun features. I think it took slightly too long to get started at the start. Like, he has this super funny line that I can't repeat that would have been the perfect segue into the beat drop, but for some reason he decides to wait another 10 seconds, and that really frustrated me. The other thing that frustrated me is how short Lil Wayne's verse was. Like, that has to be a crime to slide in so perfectly onto a beat only to exit 4 bars later. His tiny cameo is literally my favorite part of the song. He fits in so well with the sound, and it really should have been longer. Other than those minor complaints I had to get off my chest, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Like, I wouldn't really call myself the biggest Glorilla or Sexy Red enthusiast, so fair play to them because they're a huge part of the appeal in this track. Tyler ends things off with a strong verse as well. Those ad-libs with the trumpet, like, that part is perfect. Sticky gets a solid 9. Like the title suggests, Take Your Mask Off is about the idea of embracing your true self rather than pretending to be something you're not, which is what Tyler thinks a lot of his peers around him are doing. And just like I Killed You, it's a nice message I suppose, but musically this one wasn't doing it for me. I found the children's choir sounding hook pretty annoying actually, and I hate the fact that this hook is the only Daniel Caesar we get in the song. I feel like a collab between the two of these guys has so much more potential than what we got on this album. I'd rather you not even tease me by labeling this as a Daniel Caesar feature if all he's gonna do is background vocals on the chorus. Maybe that's a weird thing to complain about, but I don't care. I'm complaining. Anyway, I don't know, some of the bars in here are pretty funny and enjoyable, but sometimes it just feels too much like he's sitting on his high horse and preaching down towards everyone, and I didn't really love that vibe. Only Kanye can get away with shit like that for me. Take Your Mask Off is going to get a 5 from me.
Don't you wait on me, I'll be fine.
Another introspective heavy track from Tyler that starts with the perspective of his mother wanting a grandchild from him. And it's yet another reference to potential fatherhood on this album, which is somewhat of a theme at this point. Tyler's contemplating how he's getting older, but not really any closer to settling down, if that's even what he wants to do. He hasn't seemed to make that choice yet. It is cool to see this side of him, but as a song, I just can't really see myself coming back to this one very often, even though I don't think it was bad at all. Which I just want to say right now, like, that is the feat of a really good artist or a really strong album. Like, all the songs I don't like on here aren't immediate mandatory skips that I'd never listen to again. They're just not as good as the other ones. For example, in Tomorrow, Tyler's verse in the middle is pretty great, and the instrumental is good too. Like, I love the piano part in particular, but it just took a little too long to get going, and the outro took a little too long to go away. I'm gonna give it a 6. We get another high energy track in Thought I Was Dead, and I do think this one is pretty good, but I also feel like it could have been even better, to be honest. At times it is really catchy, and Tyler brings in a lot of energy, which I appreciate. I also love the trumpet sounds throughout, but there are a couple things I'm not as fond of here as well. I didn't exactly love the I don't want to be found, I don't want to be down hook. I also hated the 5 in the morning, 10 in the evening bar. Like, that shit was ass, and it really threw me off actually. Like, I don't know why I didn't like it so much, but it just pissed me off. That being said, I think the song peaks really nicely in the last 30 seconds. The music picks back up in the background, and Tyler starts flowing super nicely. Everything came together really great. Putting all of this together, I'm going to give this track a 7. I really wanted to like it more, but it just felt slightly short to me in some regards. Still a good song though. Remember when I said Tyler's singing can be somewhat hit or miss for me? Like Him is a clear example of a hit. I find the higher vocal range he uses on here so much more appealing to me. The instrumental as well on here is just smooth as hell. Starting with just a piano, before adding an electric guitar solo, which also went crazy. And then by the time the production peaks, there's way too many things even going on for me to individually point them out. But it comes together perfectly in a way that's not overbearing at all, like it's extremely easy to listen to. Speaking of that peak, the way it starts with that ad-lib from Baby Keem is such a great moment. The fact that that is Baby Keem though just pisses me off more than anything though, because why are you gonna do that and not drop a verse? But I'm not gonna let that ruin my mood because I do really like this song. I don't know who Lola Young is, but I will keep the name in mind because her vocals complemented the sound so wonderfully when she came in at the end. And I haven't even mentioned the subject matter, which is also really interesting, as Tyler reflects on his resemblances with his absent father. Overall, it's just a beautiful, well-made track, and it's gonna be my favorite from the album, getting a 9.5. Balloon was apparently one of the more divisive songs on the album. In particular, I think Doechie's verse garnered a lot of opinions on both sides. If you want to know where I stand, I think you're just telling on yourself if you don't like this. Like, please, just have some fun, man. I love the high energy she brought, and I think the song peaks in sound during her verse. Now, I don't really have a lot of analysis, to be honest. I just think this one was a fun listen. I like the song, I like the energy, I like the beat. Balloon gets a 7.5.
Never bite tongue till it too sore. If you was gonna apologize, fuck you shoot for.
Tyler finishes the album strongly with I Hope You Find Your Way Home. I really like when intros and outros actually sound like intros and outros, if you know what I mean. And I'm definitely getting the outro feel with this one. Tyler's able to get off some final thoughts he still has lingering on his chest. Again, talking about fatherhood, claiming he's not ready, and also just reflecting on where he's at right now in terms of success and status. To be honest, I was kind of getting elements of Drake in the way he's flexing while also being vulnerable. Not that Drake invented that, but that is kind of his thing. And musically, like I just said, it does sound like a send-off with some strong highs and lows. I might not come back to it more than some of the other songs on here, or maybe I will, who knows, but I care about that less when it comes to ranking intros and outros. I'm actually going to give this one an 8, though I'm sure some of you might disagree having it higher than some of these other tracks. If that's how you feel though, please let me know in the comments down below because that is the end of this list today. Overall, I think Chromokopia was a strong album that I don't think peaks as highly as his best work like Igor for example, but to me it has extended Tyler's very impressive run of strong albums in recent years. And I think it's pretty safe to say now there's not that many mainstream artists in hip hop that have been consistently great as Tyler the Creator has been for almost the past decade now. And it's been fun to see him move higher and higher into conversations with other huge names in the industry. I've been seeing a lot of Travis Scott and J. Cole comparisons on Twitter, and I think those are super fair conversations to have. And this wasn't necessarily always the case, so fair play to Mr. Creator for putting in the work and giving us all this music to listen to. I hope he does still have more to offer. If you're a fan with big insight, let me know what's going on, like what are his vibes right now. Anyway, for now, I guess we'll just wait and see. Thank you guys for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I will see you next time.